Alright, why is my garden doing so much better this year? The cucumbers are way bigger, the tomatoes are way taller, and so are the sunflowers. In this video, I'll explain. Almost exactly a year ago, I did a video on how I increased my tomato pollination. So what's different? So last year, I started the cucumbers inside, and I think I started them early April. And then I planted them out about 3 weeks later or so, 3 or 4 weeks later. This year, I actually started them from seed, just here in the ground. And it turns out that that actually works better because cucumbers grow very fast. So it's actually a little bit difficult to do right inside. You need to plant them at the exact right time. When you just put seeds in the ground, they'll come up whenever they want to, whenever the weather is right. And that is so much easier and apparently works a lot better. Because this time last year, they were just getting to the top rail of the fence, but now they're already spreading out. Also, last year, they were starting to die because of the heat, and they look fine now. There is a difference in the weather between last year and this year. This year, it's been raining a lot, and it's been cooler for much longer. It seems to really benefit the cucumbers. Last year, we just had a 10-day period of sunny, hot weather. We didn't right now, this year. We just had a bunch of rain and cloudy conditions and hot and humid for the last 2 weeks. And the plants really love that. We now have that period coming. Pretty much no rain in the forecast for the next 10 days. So that same period is coming now. And so I really have to pay attention to watering the cucumbers, because that is what killed them last year. Last year, only a few of the sunflowers were above the fence this far. Only the ones that I started early. And I started them inside around April 1st. And the other ones I started half April inside and then put them out within 2 or 3 weeks. What I did different this year is whenever last frost passed, I put all of the seeds just straight in the ground. And apparently it works a little bit similar to the cucumbers. Because they grow so fast, it's not worth starting inside. They get really constricted and they slow their growth. I'm thinking for really fast growing plants, you should just start them from seed outside, just straight in the ground. It looks like it's working a lot better than starting them inside and then finding the right time to plant them outside. Last year I had volunteer tomatoes right here that were only about 2 foot tall. But now I have plants that I started around March 1st, and they got a ton of flowers, and they already have the first tomato. This sort of looks like a pink ox heart. I don't remember what I planted here, but it looks like it. And we have another tomato, and it's flowering, so that's good. And it's about as tall as the fence, so it's about 4 foot tall. Compare that to the volunteers last year that were only 2 foot tall. So now we're on the other side of the fence. Let's see if we can find some cucumbers. There's something growing here. This is a pickling cucumber. So let's see what's growing. There's one. I don't know if it got pollinated though. So we'll see. Now we're on the other side of that English cucumber, and let's see what's growing. I think something is growing here. Maybe this one got pollinated because this turned a little bit dark green, so it looks different from the male fruit or the female fruit. So I think a cucumber is growing here. There have been a few changes this year. I put the lettuce and the radishes here because it gets a little bit more shade. Hopefully it will last a little bit longer, but it already bolted. I planted some new herbs here. We have the oregano and the rosemary that were in the bed next to it last year. Actually, the oregano is just an offshoot from the original one, and the rosemary is a new one because it died during the Arctic freeze in February. This is lavender and it's looking pretty sad, so I need to water today. And that is thyme, and all the mess in the back is cilantro. I put it there so it get the most shade and hopefully will last a little bit longer than if it's in full 90-degree sun. We put in some basil, it's doing pretty well, and we put in some flat parsley, doing pretty good. And we still have the strawberries, and they've grown a lot, and we actually got, just a handful of strawberries from them. Then we have some squashes. We haven't had a lot of luck with summer squash over the past few years. I just put them here in the corner and see what they will do. And, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So, this bed we turned all into flowers this year, and it's gonna stay that way. This is gonna be the flower bed. Flowers are doing pretty good. It looks a little bit wild. Now we get to the tomatoes. Same time last year, they were just at the first string. But now, because I seeded them so much earlier, I seeded them March 1st. And last year, because there was a delay in the seed delivery, they only got here half April. So these are 6 weeks older than the ones that I planted last year. And it shows because they're pretty much 3 foot tall instead of like a foot and a half that they were last year. Last year they were about here. Now they're here. And they're all flowering. And last year at this time they weren't. So we have flowers on these. 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 We have flowers and tomatoes on these. More flowers. We have some flowers here, but actually this one snapped. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how, but it's still alive. I just put a stick next to it and tied it to the stick to keep it together, and it's still green, still happy, and still putting out flowers, so that's good. Then this one had a bunch of flowers, but now it has a bunch of tomatoes. So it's going a lot better than last year. Tomatoes are twice as tall, and they're flowering and already starting tomatoes. So before it gets too hot, we actually might get something, because last year we only got a handful. In July and August, it gets too hot and the flowers just drop off and they don't want to pollinate. So hopefully we'll have a lot more tomatoes before it gets too hot. So this year it's going a lot better than last year, and I hope to get a bumper crop. Do this if you like this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.